Well, good Sunday morning, friends. Mark Holmes here, of course, with my buddy Cowboy Joe Boo, as well as Joe Bear in the house. And as always, I want to thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. So let's get open for business here and let's wake up the football gods here on this Sunday. Today at 4 o'clock, we'll do a little live stream. We'll make it a call in for channel members so that way we can watch some of the combine together. We can get our thoughts and our wishes and things together on Sunday afternoons. This is where we should spend some time together and, have some fun. I think we're going to do it at 4. I might even do it at 3. And let me check with my man D2 Stu and find out how his schedule works, because I definitely want Stuart in the house as well as all you great channel members, and we'll have some fun with this. So I am saying that we are getting a preview of what to expect when Jerry Jones passes the torch to Stephen Jones. Stephen Jones feels like right now he's the owner. Jerry Jones, I'm kind of surprised that Jerry Jones stayed in Dallas on a minor medical issue and or is working with Roger Goodell on a project. And we have not heard a peep from Jerry Jones in quite a while. This is a combine. This is where more business is done, getting ready for the season. You've heard all the players and things. Washington has made an offer to try and get Russell Wilson. They've talked to everybody about a quarterback. They're looking at trading for Derek Carr, maybe. We've heard Jameis Winston. He's a hot commodity that the Pittsburgh Steelers might be trying to trade for Aaron Rodgers. All kinds of work is being done, but Jerry's nowhere to be seen. And this is where my spider sense is kind of up a bit, wondering what's really going on. And we have Stephen Jones, who is literally, seemingly running the team right now. People have always said they can't wait till Jerry Jones is gone. I don't know that it's going to be great without him. Yesterday I mentioned that it's beginning to feel like this year is going to be a redshirt year and that things aren't going to change much. Stephen Jones's own words, NFL free agency is not a great way to build a football team. It's not a great way to build a football team. You're going to pay good players like they're great, average players like they're good, below average players like they're average. It's just not a great way to build a football team. My counter to that is you've paid players that were below average players like they were great players that weren't free agents. They were your own players. You played average players like Jalen Smith like he was a great player. So I'm kind of, I hear what you're saying and it sounds good in copy and sounds good in theory, but your actions speak louder than words on that. Because if us spending money on our own was working, then how come we're not able to get out of the first playoff game forever? What you're doing, yeah, sounds good. But then you get screwed because the players get leverage on you because you waited instead of making a decent offer to begin with. The players have you between a rock and a hard place, and then you end up doing exactly what you're saying free agency does. And I can look at Tampa Bay, I can look at Kansas City, and I can look at the Rams and say, well, they found a way to use free agents. I can even say the Eagles have found a way to use free agents. And I'm not saying that free agents are the be-all, end-all. You're right. The best way to build a team is through the draft. But that's not the only tool. You've got to use all of the above. It's about finding great players in the draft, but then supplementing them with the pieces that you're missing. And that's where Stephen Jones is missing out. But I'm beginning to feel more and more that, the whole thing of Amari Cooper, and if you go around, you'll see some tapes and stuff of the last couple of plays in the game where Amari Cooper is kind of jogging. I can't say that he was going all out because he definitely was jogging on the plays. And maybe if he was blocking downfield or standing in the way of somebody, or maybe selling out the play, going all out deep, that maybe the coverage would have gone with him. I'm not going to say that that wouldn't have helped because it probably would have. But you're seeing the Des Bryant treatment to justify them releasing him. I just wish they would just release him and just get it over with. I think it's already written in stone that they're going to release him. And even with him checking out some plays, you're still better off with him. But I understand. It's a deep draft and wide receivers. You believe in Michael Gallup, who's probably not going to be ready to start the season. To me, this feels like we are looking for, and I believe that this process started last year because they didn't restructure Amari Cooper last year, which would have been one of the easier ones to restructure. In the same way, I believe they started this process last year with Amari Cooper. I think that they've already started the process of getting rid of Mike McCarthy for Sean Payton. They know Sean Payton that you can't immediately get him this year. That it's okay to let him catch his breath and all that. And then it looks like you have plausible deniability that you weren't working on something. But you must first, of course, sully the name of Mike McCarthy and turn the fans against him. That's what it feels like. And, if the team has some issues, because we don't have our number one wide receiver, and we take our number two and make him a number one, and our number three that we need to do more with, and he's not ready to start the season. And if we don't go out and get the free agents that we need to fill in the holes because we don't have enough draft picks to fill in all of the gaps, and the team takes a step back, then, of course, you can point the finger at Mike McCarthy. In which case, that says, you know what? We got to go out and we got to make a splash. We got to go get the guy that we wanted to get 3 years ago, that we made an offer to. The guy that got away back in the early 2000s. And Mike McCarthy becomes the scapegoat in the same way Amari Cooper does. That's my personal belief right now. You've already gone through the process of basically destroying him before the season and say, oh, no, we love him. Oh, no, he's the guy for us. But you're undermining him at every turn. Now, I look at this draft and seeing, oh, my God, Jordan Davis. I'm in love, guys. I'm in love. That big mother humper, that's what we need. That's the cure for all of our defensive line blues right there. Don't know if he'll be there 24, but damn it, if he is, you better damn sight take that guy. That's my guy. That's going to be my dream guy this offseason. That somehow, some way, in the way that DMV wanted Kyle Pitts, I want Jordan Davis. I'll be on with that later on. I just have to pause for a second here and just think about having a big man in the middle. I'm sorry. It's something that I've wanted forever. So, as we go through this offseason where Mike McCarthy has been undermined, Mike McCarthy has been thrown under the bus, that Mike McCarthy's had his nuts literally cut off, I'm going to go to some of the experts out there and see what their thought is on Mike McCarthy and whether or not he really is the long-term solution.
McCarthy, according to Stephen Jones, his track record speaks for himself, according to Stephen Jones. Here's what Jones said. He's won a Super Bowl. He's been to championship games. I love the way his leadership style is. He's got a great pulse for our football team, and it just feels like he's the right guy for us. Now, look, they created the mess that they're currently in through past flirtations with Sean Payton. They almost hired Sean Payton 3 years ago. There's no secret that Jerry Jones covets Sean Payton. And when Jerry's had a chance to talk about it publicly, he hasn't exactly knocked down any possibility of Sean Payton becoming the coach or Dan Quinn becoming the coach. And I think they've decided that they are going to use this as motivation for Mike McCarthy to get more out of him. And maybe it's good cop, bad cop. I don't know. But the bottom line is Mike McCarthy has won one championship. The book on him in Green Bay is post that championship, he underachieved. His team's underachieved. And guess what happened this year for the Cowboys? They underachieved again. So they can try to talk themselves into the idea that they've got a potential Super Bowl winning coach and a Super Bowl winning roster. And at times this year, they kind of look like maybe they could compete to get there. But one and done at home, wild card round, that's not going to make people believe it. You can make yourself believe it because you need to, because you want to, because you don't want to pay Mike McCarthy to not coach your team because you're too cheap to buy him out, which is just ridiculous when you consider how much money these people have. But that's what the Cowboys do. They don't want to pay people not to coach. So they're kicking the can for another year with Mike McCarthy. They're trying to speak something better than what they've gotten into existence. And we know where we're going to be a year from now. They're not going to have their fingerprints on the Lombardi Trophy. And we're going to be talking about whether or not it's McCarthy out and Sean Payton in.
Well, yeah, I mean, and that's it sort of reminds me of the situation that was back in the day, if we can call it the day, where it was Wade Phillips and Jason Garrett. And it always just seemed like Jason Garrett was the coach in waiting. It was only a matter of time before Jason Garrett was going to take over for Wade Phillips. And then that happened, and we saw it happen. And, they were a mediocre team for most of Jason Garrett's tenure. And then we saw Jason Garrett's contract expire, basically to the point of not wanting to pay people to not coach the team, right? Jason Garrett's contract had to expire before they even were like, oh, yeah, he's not coming back. And then it was this weird deal where, okay, what are they going to do? Like, is he actually gone? And, well, they don't have to announce anything because his contract is over. And then, oh, wow, look, there's Mike McCarthy. And, yeah, he's the next head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. And like you said, look, there's been a flirtation between Sean Payton and the Cowboys before. That's why this is going to continue to be out there for the next year. And, like, I don't necessarily feel bad for Mike McCarthy, but to act like Sean Payton is not going to be a cloud over everything that the Cowboys do next year. Imagine if the Cowboys start like 0-4, 0-5, 1-4, 1-5. What is it going to be? But, oh man, well, they're going to get rid of Mike McCarthy at some point, and either Dan Quinn's going to take over or Kellen Moore's going to take over, and eventually they're going to get Sean Payton out of whatever TV job it is. That's just the way it's going to be, and that's what the narrative is going to be, whether they start slow or whether they end up being one and done in the postseason again.
Yeah, and look, you never know what's going to happen. There are so many factors that go into how a season goes, but there's just a sense that this team still has plenty of work to do. And all of a sudden, Dan Quinn is the next Vince Lombardi, which I don't quite understand. Their defense wasn't 85 Bears this year, right? He just was so much better than the crap that they had in 2020. When you look at their overall performance, they weren't among the best defenses in football. And this idea that he could have been a head coach somewhere else, but he chose to come back, I don't buy that for a second. If he turned down an offer to be a head coach with another team to come back to Dallas, unless that offer was with the Texans, I'm not buying it. Sorry, Texans. Yeah, or the Jaguars. Sorry, Texans. The Texans gave us Nick Caserio this week. See, here's my theory on the Texans and why they.
All right, we can go away from that from here, but they bring up some good points on that whole situation here. That the Cowboys, they don't want to pay people not to coach. Apparently, though, they don't have a problem with paying Amari not to play for him. They don't have a problem paying Jalen Smith not to play for him. But this really feels like things that we've done before. This is Wade Phillips all over again. This is Jason Garrett. Well, we're not going to pay him not to be the coach of the Cowboys. We're going to let the contract expire. And here, we don't want to buy out Mike McCarthy this quick. We're going to let him go ahead and just kind of hang and dangle in the wind. This is what they do. But I think ultimately that this season they're looking at and saying, if we win, great. If not, we're going to clean house and be able to start the new plate over. Like I said yesterday, thinking that this is going to be the Dallas Cowboys red shirt season and get everything pushed in 2023. We'll see what happens on that one, but I hope to see you guys here on our afternoon live stream. Might be 3 o'clock. I'll work on that. I'll set the stream up. 3 or 4 o'clock we'll be going off. So with that being said, you know how we roll.
Our coach here, and as always, I want to thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being